like in most of my work, I begin with the music. The Prokofiev score is one that I've heard my whole career. It's one of the most famous ballet scores, and I was always daunted at the idea of doing a production for the stage. It just didn't feel like I had really a grasp on it that would feel fresh enough, until I really begin to think of it as a film. Then I felt like actually, this music that is so visual would make such incredible film, music, dance on film music. But as I started to develop that idea, I began to think about production that actually would combine live performance and film, but in a way that not sort of pre-recorded film, more like the characters that you see on stage before you become film characters before your eyes. So the idea was really to work with live performance and live video, but more so in the sense that the video has a true cinematic quality and in the way that it looks, in the way that it's the camera moves, and I thought, well, that's quite interesting, because suddenly the film component allows me to get closer to my characters and their emotions. One important thing to know about the production is that it will be unique in every venue that we perform it in. There is the video that's really used as the environment that the ballet is set in on stage. And when the camera becomes live and you follow the characters on screen from, in front of you to actually leaving the stage and becoming film characters, we explore the spaces in the venue that we're performing in, and that every time is a matter of finding the right locations that make the production really cohesive, exciting, and beautiful. But every single performance of this production will be absolutely unique because of it, and that's a really exciting component to me. So my first approach to Romeo and Juliet was with Mike Millen's choreography in English National Ballet, which I saw as a student, and then eventually with West Side Story at New York City Ballet, where I danced the production as a Jet and eventually as Tony. And when I thought about our production, I wanted to set it in this day and time in L.A., in the city that I feel that I have an insight to, that I know and that I relate to. And in terms of the story, I just thought, let's not make another, straightforward production with, a man and a woman. I think this idea of a world where love is impossible can be something that, yes, a man and a woman can relate to, but also two men or two women. And this is one of the aspects of our production, which is, from night to night, these characters are played by different people, and we do perform it with a man and a woman, and on a certain night, two women and two men. And in that sense, it's not like we go so detailed in the in the plot. I think of our production more as kind of a suite, and again, that uses really the most important universal elements from the Shakespeare production, but where we create the kind of emotional journey that everyone could potentially relate to. It is probably my fifth or sixth collaboration with Van Cleef and Arpels, and it's always a very organic. It tends to be a very organic process. We have similar desires when it comes to the artists we want to work with or the stories we want to tell. It was Nicolas Bosse's idea to draw inspiration from the work of Lorenzo Mattotti for this production. This is something that my designer Alessandro Sartori and I were both excited about, sort of draw this correspondence with Italy and the modernist quality of Lorenzo's work, but sort of create clothes that would feel urban and contemporary for our production. And this is something that hasn't been created yet, but will be part of our world premiere in 2020. I think telling story through dance is a difficult task. I tend to be more a believer in symbolic imagery like Pina Bausch's Orpheus and Eurydice, which I think is the great last masterpiece when it comes to narrative ballet. But in this case here, I actually telling these very specific plot points is unavoidable, and I do think that here sometimes film will help me. Live film will help me tell things, and being closer to the characters, controlling the environment and the camera movements allow me to tell the story in a way that feels more visceral, and that's very, very important to me.